Greg, as we spent the entire year talking about the quarterback situation, it seems like we're going to spend the entire offseason talking about quarterbacks, and it's still the dominant storyline, and it's shaping up to be an offseason unlike any other with the potential quarterback movement that could happen this year. I mean, and I'll go over my list later, but yours might be slightly different. We're looking at potentially only about 12 NFL teams, maybe 13 if you count the Jags, who are going to take Trevor Lawrence, who are dead set on who their starting quarterback is going to be next year. And everybody else is just so the dominoes dropping here or just where they're going to fall. It's going to be so tricky to see who goes where and then what you should do. And can you get this guy? And can you draft that guy? And what if you can't trade for this guy? Who's your fallback? And a lot of teams are in the same boat. And obviously the Patriots are desperately needy for a quarterback. So the hot name here, which surfaced late last week or over the weekend, was Matthew Stafford. So just give us your take on Stafford as a fit in New England. Is this a guy immediately? Everyone had an opinion. Yep, I'd trade the 15 pick. Absolutely. The question, even get it done. So just your initial thoughts on the Stafford situation and how that could play out for the Patriots.
Okay. Well, first of all, to answer the first question, I do not think the 15th overall pick just gets it done. I mean, we just heard from Adam Schefter today saying like the Lions are already getting calls from people trying to gauge how much it's going to take. I talked to an NFL personnel executive for a team that already does have interest in Matthew Stafford. And I asked him, what did he think he was going to go for? And he said either a first and a third this year, possibly a first and a second, depending on how heated the bidding goes, or a first this year and a first next year. So that's pretty expensive, in my opinion. And I think it will be for the Patriots. Now, let's just start with, is he a fit? I think he's absolutely a fit. I think anybody with the Patriots that they're looking at, and I think they've learned this lesson hard this year with Cam Newton, is that they need someone who is, and this isn't to say that Cam isn't these things. It's just he wasn't a good fit for it. They need somebody who's cerebral, who understands, maybe has played in a system similar to this, where there are a lot of different options that you can really see the totality of the field. When you're in this offense, and we're even seeing it now somewhat with Brady with the Buccaneers, because they've adopted a lot of Patriots things down the stretch here, is you have to understand, you have to win before the snap. Okay, you can't play in the Patriots system and snap the ball and not have a good idea of what's going to happen in terms of who's going to be open, how the defense is going to be influenced, all that stuff. You have to win before the snap. Cam Newton rarely ever won before the snap. So that's number one that you need. Number two, you need somebody who is tough. And number three, you need somebody who is a very hard worker. I think Matthew Stafford checks all those boxes. Plus, he has the additional plus of being somewhat mobile. Matthew Stafford is incredibly tough physically. From what I've seen of Stafford, and he's been in a variety of systems, I do think he has the potential to win before the snap. I think he has done it in his career, and I think he has a lot of intangibles. So I think that he is a fit for the Patriots, John. But I just think you combine what you're going to have to get up in draft pick compensation, plus what you're going to have to pay him, which is, I think, somewhere in the mid-20s as far as what's left on his deal each year. And look, you can renegotiate that and what have you. But the combination of those two things, I have a tough time seeing the Patriots do. And I have a tough time seeing them getting into a bidding war over anybody. I mean, John, just look at the report that surfaced this weekend. And I love these reports, John, that, Stephon Diggs is having a great year for the Bills.
They almost had him. They almost had him, Greg.
Guess what?
They were in on him.
Almost had him. Yeah, I mean, I just love this stuff. Adam Humphries, Cole Beasley,
OBJ.
The Patriots. OBJ. The Patriots, the past 5 years, are the king of the almost off seasons.
The Red Sox are taking that mantle this year.
I know they're in a tug of war.
But you always hear that and it's always 9 months later. You don't know how close they came last off season to something. it's classic, and I don't buy the Diggs thing at all. But anyway,
it's also funny that we never hear like, all right, say this guy signed someplace else and he was a really crappy free agent. You never hear, oh, the Patriots almost got that guy before he had a really terrible season. Like you never hear that stuff. It's just funny. But I think that in general on Stafford, they just aren't going to get in the bidding war. They got out of one when it got heated for Diggs. That's sort of where they are. The Patriots will come in. They'll say, here's our offer. Take it or leave it. I'm sure the Lions will get better elsewhere. And, probably, the Colts, we'll see.
You can convince yourself that Diggs and a high-priced receiver is a luxury item, and it's something, top shelf high-priced receivers and the cost it takes to either acquire them or to spend and get them in free agency, and pass rushers are luxury items the Patriots have kind of decided to punt on in the past, just because they just don't see the value fit there. So you can do that. You can't do that with quarterback anymore. Don't you think after a year of this, with Tom Brady going to the Super Bowl, Belichick having to sit through whatever he sat through this past year and realizing we can't do this with at least a league average quarterback? We would be fine with one, but we got to get one. And I don't know where to get one right now. And Stafford, again, the thing with Stafford that's so tantalizing, which I'm not surprised at all, it is exactly that. He checks every single box. His metrics and his stats kind of places him in the middle of the pack in terms of overall production as a quarterback. But the eye test tells you something different. Just his creativity, being able to throw from different arm angles, his toughness, as you said, he's really good scurrying around in the pocket when things break down. Big arm, can make all the throws. I can see a ton of NFL offensive types looking at Stafford and being like, this guy could be top 5 in the right system, the right sort of things. And at 20 million, 25 million, that's actually a drop in the bucket. I mean, your average cost of a premium NFL quarterback is 35 million and counting right now. So I don't think that that's the issue. I wonder how desperate Bill finds himself looking around and saying, I'm either Mac Jones or a scrap heap quarterback. I'm either reaching for Mac Jones or a scrap heap sort of guy, or I'm just going to go for it, solve this problem once and for all, and worry about everything else later. I don't think it's the most ridiculous. It doesn't fit what they've done in the past, but given what we've seen and given how important this position is and how much darkness lies ahead if they don't solve it, I don't know how you don't consider it, even if it is a massive overpay.
Oh, yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I just think that there will be more thirsty teams going after this, including I would put I'm just looking at the list right now. The Panthers, possibly the Niners, and the Colts. Like I would say those 3 teams I think will be more thirsty than the Patriots to land a top quarterback, especially the Colts and the Panthers, who I know both of them feel that they are a really good quarterback away from being Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, I don't know if you put Denver in there too, but you are looking at the Panthers, the Broncos, and obviously the Niners all picking ahead of the Patriots. The Colts pick behind them, so you can have some sort of edge over that team. But you are looking at a solid 3 teams picking ahead. If the price starts there, then it really comes up to, as you said, it's that 3rd, 2nd round, future first sort of maneuvering that's going to probably seal that deal. I think people are looking at the draft board, Greg, and saying, well, they pick higher, they've got a better shot. I don't think that's it. I think that's the other thing you said is who's willing to part with another future first, who's willing to go with a second. And it's that what else are you throwing in there? I guess the one wild card for the Patriots is potentially Stephon Gilmore. And I don't know whether he factors into something like this, but it is a chip that you could consider as something valuable that could sweeten the pot. And I don't know whether it factors into this particular deal.
Yeah, I do not think so. And people ask me about that. And
why would Detroit do that? Because
that's the thing. On top of that. Like Detroit isn't a full rebuild. That's what they gave.
You got to bring him in and pay him.
They gave Dan Campbell a 6-year contract. Why so long? Because they knew, they told him, all right, we're going to get rid of the quarterback. Right. Yeah. It's a complete rebuild. Why would you bring in an aging quarterback coming off an injury who wants a fat contract? Now, Stephon Gilmore, I think, is enticing to say the 49ers to get Garoppolo. Like,
Sure.
I could see a swap of that because they've had cornerback issues. He goes there, they get their quarterback, say they get Stafford, they bring in Gilmore on the defensive side. All of a sudden, you're talking about a very formidable team, and the Patriots get their quarterback.